Welcome back to another video with Yarn as a Second Language. Hello, Miss Nikki. How are you?
Oh, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. Why are you laughing already?
Because I'm just filled with excitement.
Oh boy, it's exciting times.
It is exciting. So people don't know, but we have not sat down and filmed for a while. We've been doing a lot of these craft bite videos, but they were craft bite. But they were pretty. So I mean, we haven't sat down and talked for a while. So how have you been, Miss Nikki?
Well, I didn't get blown away. East Tennessee had some huge storms and wind and rain and everything else. Flash flood warnings. The emergency warning woke me up, scared me half to death. So that was cool. But we made it. Everything's fine. The house is still here. So I guess that's a good start. We're doing it. None of my yarn got wet, so I'm good.
Well, good for you.
So how about you? What's going on? How have you been?
Oh,
it's been a busy month.
Yes, it's been a very, very busy month. March has been like a whirlwind for us.
Yes, it has.
As you guys know, we've been posting a video every single day of the month of March. It was a lot of work, but I think it was well worth it.
Yeah, it's been fun. We pushed ourselves, and I think we met our own challenge. And we've done some new things, done some interesting things, sat down and talked to some people. I've had a great time chatting with people in the comments, answering questions, asking questions. So it's been a good month for interactions, making new friends, and just having a good time with our crafts.
Yep. And for those of you that haven't seen our craft bite videos, we put them in a nice, convenient little package just for you in a playlist titled Craft Bites. So if you haven't seen them, Craft Bites, make sure you go check those out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll like them. But today's episode is all about Miss Nikki's brain and all that knowledge stored in between.
Help me, Michael B. Jordan.
She's got tiny fingers, but a big brain.
Look away, people. I'll show him some tiny fingers.
Ooh, this is a family show.
It is. Look, it is.
We got a baby right here.
A baby Roo. Hey, Roo. Yeah. Hey.
Oh.
Some of that wind is still blowing, maybe.
There we go. Let's put that back. Look. Relax. It's all good. She's saying hi to the people.
Yeah.
So we've done this once before, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. And we've got
me. I'm not sure.
What? Relax. My, she is moody. Oh.
Maybe she got woken up by the storms too.
Well, maybe. Relax. So anyway, you guys enjoyed the last episode where we picked Nikki's brain with your questions, and I gathered more questions today, and we're gonna see, what she knows. Oof. And again, this is not rehearsed. She doesn't know the questions. I think I enjoy this because I'm secretly hoping you trip up. Because she knows everything, you guys. So when she doesn't know something, I gotta hold on to that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's just get going. You're being insane already. You and Rue know what's happening over there.
We got a lot going on here. So question number 1 is, what does it mean?
Uh-oh, I couldn't hear it. Try it one more time.
Mom was FaceTiming me.
Oh,
Did you hear that at
very
all?
good.
Mom was
Yeah.
FaceTiming me.
Again, I mean, patch her in. I need all the help I can get.
So if you didn't hear it, the question was, what does it mean when a yarn is superwash?
Oh, okay. Superwash yarn is wool yarn that's been treated chemically to lay the scales down on the wool fiber so they don't catch together. And this yarn won't felt, which is the scales on the fiber kind of catching together, and the fibers get agitated together, and it forms a more solid fabric than just regular knitted or crocheted fabric. So superwash yarn, say that 3 times fast, has been chemically treated so those scales don't lift up, don't catch together, don't hold on to each other as much. So you can treat it a little rougher than you could regular untreated wool. Superwashes are also often marketed as being washer and dryer safe. So they can take a little more agitation, they can take a little more heat, they can take a little more abuse. So you would want to use, I would use a superwash yarn to make maybe hats and mittens for somebody who's not necessarily going to hand wash their woolens, or a kid where it's going to get more rough usage, or something just maybe you know, you can perfectly make a sweater out of it and things like that, but just something where you want to not have to baby your crafts a little bit more. I don't know which chemicals, so that's interesting. I'll have to consult the textile book.
Every video you try to work that book in, I have to consult the textile book.
That is the best $1 I may have spent on this craft yet.
Oh my goodness. So question number 2, why does yarn sometimes shed?
Because when you make yarn, what you're doing is you're putting together long lengths of fibers, and shorter fibers don't get caught up in what's called the twist of the yarn as much. If you look at, I'm trying to see what I've got here. If you look at a strand of yarn, now I can't find an end on anything. There is twist in the yarn. I don't know if you can see that. So you're catching up those short fibers. The shorter the fibers, the more likely it will work its way out of this twist that's in the ball. And that's where you get your shedding. Longer staple fibers don't shed as much because they're twisted up more times than you can twist those little bitty short lengths. So sometimes, I don't know sheep breeds, so I think a merino is a very short fibered wool, gives a short fibered wool, and something maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but maybe another breed gives you a longer staple. That's something for me to learn and look up, but I know a merino is a short fiber. That's how you get softness. These things are very short, very soft. They just work their way out of the binding of the twist that you've worked it into in the yarn.
You don't know different types of sheep?
No, I don't.
Wow, I thought you would.
No.
That just seems like something you would know.
Well, I know different breeds, you know, but I don't know their fiber staple length. Maybe some of our viewers do.
So question number 3 is, how do you, Nikki, this is personalized to you.
Okay.
Yes. How do you choose the best yarn for your projects?
It's you got to think about usage. You got to think about price point, and a lot of times I have to think about recipient. So, and what you want to make. I'm not going to make a huge heavy alpaca blanket because, one, alpaca is very, relatively expensive. I personally am not going to hand wash a huge comforter in my bathtub or something. I got to think about how I'm going to use it, how often it's going to get washed. If I'm going to gift it to somebody, I'm not going to gift a kid something that needs to be hand washed, or a new mom something that needs to be hand washed for her baby. So there's a lot of factors. I personally like knitting with natural fibers. Acrylics and other man-made fibers certainly have their uses, but most of my stash is natural fibers. I think about what season it's going to be used for, how long. A hat doesn't get a whole, you're not going to wash your hat every day. Your mittens might rub together, so they may need to be a little rougher fiber, but when I'm making something that's supposed to be next to skin, I'll think about fiber content. We talked about merino, and merino would be very good for that. You know, it's very soft next to skin. I'm not going to be roughhousing in my scarves or anything, so they can take a look. I mean, if the need arises, I'll throw some bows, but you know, it hasn't come up lately. I'm just going to say that lately. But craft with what you like. I know there's a lot of debate in the craft world about using expensive yarns versus big box store yarns versus, you know, reclaimed yarns. Craft with what you like. This is supposed to be enjoyable. This is how I'm spending my free time. This is how I want to present myself in a gift for someone. If I want to spend $40 on a skein of yarn for the cashmere kid, because I want to, not because I think, you know, somebody else is going to make fun of me if I give him an acrylic hat versus this, you know, fancy dancy yarn. Craft with what you want. So I think that's the best answer I can give. There are some other suitability things, like we talked about, affordability, usability, things like that. But the biggest factor I ever consider is craft with what you want. If I feel like working with a new yarn, I'll go out and get a new yarn. If I feel like working with what's in my stash, I'll work with what is within my stash. I always work with what I want to work with. Life is too short to craft with something you don't like just because somebody else is doing it.
That would be good on a t-shirt.
It probably is somewhere, but I mean, truly, there are no crafting police. Nobody's going to come to your house and, you know, oh, Princeton, I saw you used an acrylic. Oh boy. Mm-mm-mm. If they do, they are breaking and entering. That is not right. So, and there is a lot of tension in the yarn community for some reason about different yarns to use and indie dyed yarns and things like that. Nobody has to buy anything that anybody else has. No, you craft with what you are comfortable with. And I mean comfortable on my skin with, comfortable working in my hands with, comfortable in my wallet with, you know, let's be real here. This is my hobby. This is not my job. This is not, you know, my investment. I guess it is a little bit of an investment, but it's for my pleasure. It's an investment in my pleasure. I'm not going to be happy if I'm trying to make a $700 sweater that, you know, well, that's what the designer said. No, I'm not going to wear it. And I'm going to be so terrified that I'm going to mess something up. It's not going to be enjoyable to me.
Right.
Life is short, man.
You felt that answer, didn't you?
I did, because there is an element, I'm sorry, there's an element of yarn shame. There's an element of, well, you're only using this. And I know some people who are afraid to go into their local yarn store because they think, well, I can't afford, you know, a $500 sweater, or I can't afford, I just want to buy one skein of cotton and just see what's on the shelves. Craft with what you want. Go in there like a boss. And I know some crochet people have said they've been turned away by snooty yarn stores. That is a whole nother problem I have with this whole industry. There are people who think that crochet people use this kind of yarn and knit people use this kind of yarn. Let's come together as one yarn family. Let's just not do that. We are divided on so many more issues. Let's everybody use fabulous yarn together. I got caught up. I know. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's straight from the heart, you guys.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That bothers me. That bothers me. So I'm sorry.
Wow, we need to name this episode Straight from the Heart, straight from Nikki's heart. Well, speaking of crocheting and knitting, so which has been around longer, crochet or knitting?
I think knitting in some form. I think what we call modern day knitting has been around a little bit longer than crochet. I think crochet is very relatively new compared to, you know, somebody making a knit type fabric. I think they found, I don't know how you pronounce it, nail binding, NALBINDING, I believe. I've not looked into that. I think that was one of the earliest forms of knitting, of taking string and making it into some sort of hand-worked, non-woven fabric.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. That's a good question. I think
So,
it's knitting, though.
I've heard that knitting was initially like a male-only occupation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes, because it was commercialized, and you know, throughout a lot of history, women weren't allowed to, or were very much discouraged from making money outside the home. So they had knitting guilds. They had where you would go and you would apprentice to a master knitter, and you would learn this craft, and you would spend years perfecting your craft under the tutelage of someone else who would guide and help you along in the craft. And of course, women weren't allowed in these guilds. So I'm not sure when. Rue is doing yoga behind you, but I'm not sure when. But when knitting moved from being a very commercialized craft, hand knitting, to machine knitting, I think women and children were used to run the machines quite a lot because we could, the smallness of our hand, you know, little kids, this is terrible in the industry, they would employ little children to work in the looms and around in all these places. So I think that was kind of the evolution of the craft into what essentially became women's work, women's handiwork. But women have always knitted. You know, it wasn't just, well, men did this and women weren't allowed to touch knitting. Women have always knitted. Men have always knit. You know, it's always been a functional kind of thing because we have to keep our bodies warm. We have to keep our children warm. We have to keep, you know, make socks, make sweaters, make hats to keep our bodies warm. So it's always been a home endeavor. And when it was making money, I think it was more in the men's realm until it got industrialized. I don't know. That may just be a dream I had. I don't know. I think that's what I remember.
So I'm gonna kind of go off my my schedule here.
Okay.
But so recently I got a comment, and I did a craft and crochet, or yeah, craft and crochet video that I don't know when it's gonna go out, but we had a viewer say that she has sorry, Mom was FaceTiming me again. We had a viewer say that she has a 12-year-old grandson, and he has shown interest in learning how to crochet, but his mother said that no, only gay men crochet. Now, relax, Rue. I gave my answer to that on the video, but me and Nikki haven't discussed it. So without knowing what I said, what is your opinion or your view or statement on that? And you can get real. I got real in my video.
Okay.
And Nikki hasn't even seen it yet.
My statement is that is complete bunk. Come on. I think it's wonderful that a child shows interest in making something with their hands. And I think if you're if you're not working something with your genitals, it's not for one sex over the other. You're working this yarn with your hands. So it's not boy hands or girl hands. It's making something with your hands, with your heart, with your mind. It's being creative. it's not gendered. I don't know why it would be. You know, nobody's going to get hurt if your son picks up a crochet hook. I just don't think that way. And I don't think children should be discouraged from exploring. He may pick it up and put it down. He may pick it up and become a master crocheter. He may, you know, just have a lifelong outlet for his creativity, to be stress relief, to do, you know, make something beautiful for people he cares about. I don't think we should discourage anybody from doing that.
Yeah.
So I have not watched your video. I don't know what you said, but what was your take on that?
Basically the same thing. I mean, part of the question that the person asked also was, what does my wife think about me crocheting?
Mm-hmm.
And basically I said, we've been married for nearly 11 years and she's never shown any issue with it that she had. I said, she doesn't care. And the other part of the question was, what do my friends and people think? And I basically said that, well, my friends, they have poked fun at me just because we're guys, and we poke fun at each other just because we're wearing shoes and not sandals on Sunday, you know? But they've never purposely said things to actually hurt me, you know? And as far as people, I could care less about what people say or think. But I also express that that's coming from nearly 40-year-old man. You know, when I think about a 12-year-old boy.
I mean, kids can be, but I'll tell you what, in the before times when we could go out to, you know, restaurants and place parks and things, kids, male, female, whatever, they're always the most curious about what I am doing. Always. And they'll come up and stand beside you and, well, what is that? What are you making? Oh, that's nice. And I've even had some, you know, hold their little hands and they're like, Mom, look, they are so proud of themselves. They are so excited for just, and like I said, I don't know if any of these kids have ever picked this up to, you know, take it, but they have everyone who has ever been brave enough to say, Mom, ask her what she's doing. They have been so respectful, so sweet, so excited. And that just makes me feel good that for that moment, me and that kid were connected over some sticks and string. And that's what people are supposed to be craving, connection with kids, connection with each other. They would never have said anything to me. We were brought together over that little activity that I brought out in public.
Right. Well, to see the full answer that I give, make sure you check out our episode number 4 in our craft and crochet video.
I'm interested to see.
I actually got a little bit, I don't want to say upset, maybe just discouraged. I don't know. I got in a weird moment and I actually just ended the video.
Oh no. I think it's hard to, I think, you know, you and I have kind of talked about this in the past, about being a man in this world that is traditionally viewed as women's only space, and how sometimes it could be great. You get attention and praise for doing this thing. And sometimes people may give you the side eye. You know, I don't know how you, how often you face those kind of challenges, but that's interesting that somebody brought that up.
Yep. So, Yep, I appreciated the question though. I thought it was a very good question, and I'm glad she brought that up. Somebody who sounds
like they're worried about. I'm sorry, I'm very fired up today. That sounds like somebody who's worried about their kid. That sounds like somebody who's worried about, you know, kids can be cruel to each other, teasing and all that stuff. And that's, I'm sure it's not from a place of not my son. You know, I think it's how have you been perceived in this world and how people interacted to you. But like you said, 12 is a lot different than, you know, 40. But most people who craft have started when they were very young. I got a lot of responses about people talking about their grandma, their mom, their aunts, you know, taught them how to craft when they were very young. And this is how people become experts. You know, I get the, oh, what are you, 100 years old crafting? How do you think grandma got to be so good when she's 80? She started when she was 30, you know, 40, 50. It takes a lot of time to perfect your craft. and to get very comfortable with it. And I think people are uncomfortable with knowing that you have invested this much time into something that looks simple. I mean, I've watched people knit and crochet for years, and some people can make it look very easy. But when you put those needles or that hook in the hands of somebody who thinks they know that they can do it, it must be easy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So it's an interesting world. We'll have to look up what day Worldwide Knit in Public Day is. I think it's coming up. It might be in May. But I think it's been expanded to Worldwide Craft in Public Day. But we'll have to see. Maybe we'll conduct an experiment out in public. A socially distanced experiment to see how many people look your way if you're in a park somewhere crafting. That would be interesting.
Everybody's gonna be looking at me.
Yes.
Whether I'm crafting or not.
Doing?
Yeah. So, well, I'm gonna ask one more. I have several more questions, but you're a little fired up today.
I am.
So I'll save the rest. But I do want to ask this one last one before we get out of here.
Okay.
So the world's fastest knitter.
Ooh.
Do you know who the world's fastest knitter is?
I do not.
Okay, her name is Miriam Teagels, I think.
Okay.
And she's from Netherlands. So she can hand knit 118 stitches in 1 minute.
Wow.
How many stitches can you hand knit in 1 minute?
I have no idea. I do not consider myself a fast knitter. I have never timed myself. I have never tried to improve my knitting speed because I don't get paid by the stitch. Maybe if somebody were to offer that, that would be great.
So you're not a fast stitcher, but you're a self-proclaimed loose stitcher?
Yeah.
A loose knitter?
Yes.
Hey, you said it.
I ain't fast, but I get the job done. Put that on a shirt.
Cover your ears, Ruth.
We might have to put a warning on this.
Goodness. So you don't know how many you could do?
No, why would I know that?
Because you know everything, apparently.
I've never been at home like, and run this knitting drill now. Oh no. Drinking water, knit my own sweatband. No, I haven't done this. That's crazy talk.
Well, I guess you're not faster than old Marion, so.
I probably am far, far less quick as she is. I think I've seen her before. It's amazing. It's amazing. Did you happen to catch a video of her?
No, I did not.
I think a few years ago there was footage of her. I think she made the rounds on some like television talk shows, and she's amazing.
Well, I have to check it out.
Mm.
So I think I'll save the rest of the questions. We'll do another video. You did well. You did well. You guys, that was a lot from the heart today.
It was. And if I have ever said anything wrong, I'm not perfect. I don't know. That's my disclaimer.
I have a good feeling people will call you out if you were wrong. So
I don't care about that either. Again, this is my hobby.
Yeah, like you said. Goodness, this dog.
She's needy.
Goodness. So yeah, is there anything else any more knowledge you wanted to throw at them?
No, I'm wiped out. Past the collection plate, I'm done.
Are you working on something right now?
No.
Like, okay.
In my hands? No.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Just
I thought maybe you're just, because you know how you like to knit and the look like you're like the knit queen. Just, I don't need to look.
Let's just wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a pleasure to spend time with you. And we hope you have enjoyed our month of March craft bites and hope that we get to visit with you soon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep.
Bye.
See you guys.